Okay. Hi, everybody. This is a relatively express class, just about finding a moment of grounding when you are feeling a bit frazzled, feeling a bit in your head, but grounding with a very specific purpose, not to retreat and ignore your problems, but retreat into yourself temporarily so that you have the resilience and clarity that you need to make changes in yourself and in the world around you. Okay. So start in a child's pose. And your arms can be reaching forward or reaching back by your side. And take a pretty big breath, exaggerated breath into the back of your ribs, like you're wearing a cape and wanted to inflate the cape. And then an open mouth exhale, maybe even a sigh, just to let it out. And two more like that, perhaps an even bigger breath in. Inhale, fill all the way up, fill the sides of your ribs, and then you can sigh it out. And just one more, take a big breath all the way and fill up completely. And then sigh it out. And at this point, just let your breath be easy and consistent. Share this quote from Reina Maria Wilke. Perhaps all the dragons in our lives are princesses who are only wanting to see us act just once with beauty and courage. Perhaps everything that frightens us is, in the deepest essence, something helpless that wants our love. One more breath in. And breathe all the way out. Come up to all fours, tabletop, and a few cycles of cat-cow just to get us going. You can inhale, lift your chest, and exhale, push down and round. Good, and then start to add in some more dynamic movements. So for me, I really like these big barrel roll type movements. Moving the ribs around as many directions as possible. Make sure you do change the direction of your movements. Get some movement in the scapula. Move your arms, shoulders forward and backwards. Even move your shoulders in circles around your wrists, which will warm up your wrist as well. And find yourself into a place of stillness. Flatten out your low back. Extend your right leg straight back, really long. Take a full breath in. First of 3 times, knee to your nose, exhale. Then inhale, find length. And knee to your nose, exhale. Inhale, find length. And last time, knee to your nose, exhale. Okay, inhale, find length. Bend your right knee to 90 degrees so the toes point up to the sky. Move your knee in big circles 3 times in one direction. And then 3 times in the other direction. And a pretty big step, right foot outside of your right wrist. So you're in a lizard lunge. And in yin, this is called a dragon lunge. Okay. Curl the back toes underneath. Lift the back knee and just start to bounce your hips up and down a few times. Feel free to stay there, right? Or you can briefly walk your hands forward, lengthen through your spine. An option to walk your hands off to the left on a diagonal. So you broaden the front knee away from the midline as you do this. Right? And then come back to center. Bring your hands under your shoulders. Now, stay here. Here's just a little bit of a challenge. You'll start to push into your right foot. Maybe you lift just to your peace fingers, or briefly reach one hand forward, perhaps both, for 5, 4, breathe, 3, 2, and 1. Lower your hands, take a full breath in, and then any amount, pull your hips back so you straighten the right leg. And then you inhale forward and exhale, draw back. Inhale forward and exhale, draw back. Okay, bend your right knee to 90 degrees. And then we find Soma Chandrasana. So root the left palm. This is a funny pose, but a good one. And point all 10 toes to the right. So that back leg is essentially a side plank leg and the knife edge of your foot. And you're pushing down into your right heel bone. Okay, take your right arm straight over your head so you're really long in your side body. And then the arm will come behind you. Perhaps you cactus the elbow a little bit and then sweep it across the horizon forward. And then spirals as far back as you can, like I'm trying to touch this wall here. And then sweep it across the horizon. And one more time, that wide on the arms, so you get an opening across the chest and sweep it across the horizon. Bring your hand back to the floor, point all 10 toes forward, step back to high plank pose, top of a push-up. This one's a hold, so if you do need to tap your knees down, no drama. Tap your knees. We'll just take 3 breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale 2. Exhale. We've got one more breath in. One more breath out. Find downward facing dog. Press your hips up to the sky and hold for about 5 breaths, strong in your arms. In yoga, we have the concept of ahimsa, nonviolence, and sometimes shows up as compassion. And this is important for a lot of reasons and really fundamental to our practice, because in our practice, we explore the inner landscape constantly. And if we're going to have a healthy curiosity about our own experience and how we're relating to the world, what excites us, what frights us, what do we have an aversion to, right? What delights us? We're going to look at ourselves. We can get so much deeper and so much more information if we invoke this concept of compassion. And back to your knees, tabletop posture. Flatten out your lower back, send your left leg straight back. Take a breath in. And knee to your nose, exhale. Then the leg back, knee to your nose, exhale. Inhale, send the leg back and knee to your nose, exhale. Okay, send the leg back, bend the knee to 90 degrees so you can move the knee in circles 3 times. And change the direction of your circles. Step your left foot outside of your left wrist. Good. And then start to wiggle around in your hips. You're in lizard lunge. Option to lift the right knee, bounce a little bit. And then walk your hands forward. Get long in your chest. Option to walk your hands off onto the right in a diagonal. Again, long in your chest. And when we start to relate to ourselves and to others with this quality of compassion, we start to see more colors. Right? Bring your hands under your shoulders and move your hips forward and backwards to straighten and bend the left leg. And by this, I mean, we stop seeing others as wholly good or wholly bad. We see the nuances, and really, it's this quality. We can relate to ourselves, neither is good or bad, just as we are, right? That's our best hope for inner peace. And if we can relate to others, neither is good or bad, that is our hope for peace on earth, when we can see the vulnerability in each other and in ourselves. Root your right palm. Point all 10 toes to the left for Soma Chandrasana. So again, your back foot is like side plank. Bring some tone to the back ankle so it's not super floppy. And then take your left arm overhead. Get long in your side body. And for this first round, as you take the left arm back behind you, maybe you cactus the elbow. And then sweep your arm across the horizon, forward overhead. Circle the left arm as far back behind you as you can, and then sweep it forward. And one more time, circle it back, reach, 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 and then circle the arm forward. Good. Bring your left palm back to the mat. Turn your left toes forward, step back to high plank pose and top of a push-up. Okay, hold again for 3 breaths. Inhale 1, exhale, inhale 2, exhale, last breath in, and then press your hips up and back. We're in downward facing dog. And again, hold for about 5 breaths. Three more breaths. Great. Good, forward back to high plank. Lower all the way down to your belly. And find Sphinx pose. So elbows and your shoulders are more or less stacked. Knit the elbows in. A little bit of a tiny lift through the crown of the head. And we'll make this into a little bit of core work. So elbows will draw in just slightly. Press the inner palms down. And for these first few, keep the knees on the ground. Okay, so we inhale, lift the head. And then exhale, pull the sternum in, pull your belly in, lift your hips up off the floor. And then lay your thighs back down. Inhale, lift the crown of the head. Okay, 2 more times. Pull the sternum in, lift your hips off the floor, push down. That's an out breath. And then lay your thighs back down, lift through your crown of your head. Inhale. And last time, push down, belly floats, thighs float, hold, hold, hold. Keep breathing in and out for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lay your thighs back down, lift up through your chest. Next variation, we curl the toes underneath. If you are a bit of a glutton for punishment, you can try this with the tops of your feet flat, right? That'll definitely cultivate some ankle strength, but it can be too much too soon for some people. So, just choose mindfully. I'm gonna stick with curling my toes under today. And for this round, the knees will come off the floor. So it's an inhalation. And then exhale, press into the forearms, lift your body away from the floor. And then we inhale back to your Sphinx pose and exhale, forearm plank. And one more time, Sphinx pose and forearm plank. And you guessed it, we're holding, keep breathing in and out for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lay your body back down and we'll park it in our Sphinx pose. Now, if the elbows close to your body feel like too much, you can walk your hands a little further out. Give yourself some grace. And slow your breath down, lift through your sternum. Okay, reach back. Let's interlace the fingers for locust. Less is more here. We don't need to go too big, too crazy with this one. 3 breaths. 2 breaths. Right, last breath in. And then release. Briefly press back to child's pose. Lift forward, curl your toes under, downward facing dog. And the hips nice and high. And then an easy walk all the way forward to the front of your mat. Parallel your feet. And then lift up halfway for a long spine. Okay. Keep your left hand on your left shin, but just take the right arm up to the sky, twist. Press evenly into both feet. And lower your right hand to right shin. Keep the spine long. Take your left arm up to the sky. And lower the hand, fold completely. Juicy bend in the knees, tuck the tailbone, slowly roll up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When you get to the top of the pose, we'll shrug a few times, shrug a few times. Okay. Standing crescent pose. Reach the arms to the sky. I'll mirror you on this one. Grab hold of your right forearm and then lean to the left. Press down into your right foot. Square the hips forward. One more breath in and out. Good. Come all the way up. Inhale. Switch the grip. And then inhale, other side. Press down into your left foot. Square the chest forward. Two more breaths. And then inhale, come up. One dive forward. Halfway lift, full breath in, and step back to your downward facing dog. Final down dog, just 3 breaths. Great, and then come down to a seat. All right, so think about a moderate hip opener for you. I'll give 3 suggestions, and then you're going to choose what's right for you. But whatever you choose, you'll need to be able to maintain an upright spine. And we don't want to slouch and round and contort our legs into the pose. Okay, so option 1 is this pose called Sukhasana, which is just crossing at the center of your shins with your right shin in front. You think, oh, I want to scale it up a little bit more. Then you have the option for Gomukhasana, where you stack the knees. And again, you need to be upright for this, so please no slouching. And our third option is to stack the shins for double pigeon. Yeah? We will be holding for like a moderate amount of time. So don't go too extreme, and you can always sit on a block or a pillow to make your life a little bit easier. As for me, I'm feeling like Gomukhasana, stacking my knees right now. So that's where I'm going. And this is why we want the spine to be upright, because we're going to do this beautiful release of the neck and the upper back. And most students and clients that I work with, they just have the most consistently positive response to what we're about to do. So we will take our left arm out to the side. Yep. And the hand is not very high, just hovering. And keeping the spine really upright, the sternum lifted. Just gently reach to the fingertips like you're about to touch a button, but you're not swaying at all on the spine. The spine is upright. Make sure your shoulders have relaxed down. They're not lifting up by the ears. And you'll slowly lower right ear to right shoulder. Okay, so 4 fundamental things are happening. We're breathing. That's 1. The spine, with the exception of the neck, is stacked. That's 2. Gently reaching through the fingertips of the extended arm. That's 3. You might even think of that as lengthening through the elbow And then 4 is just checking in with the shoulders from time to time to make sure they're relaxed. And because this is such an insidious and stubborn muscle, we're going to hold for a little while. There's this metaphor I come to over and over again, where you can imagine having a splinter in your arm. And when you have a splinter in your arm, you really have two options. You can do the dirty work of digging it out, which is painful at first. It's a temporary pain, an intentional pain, and it serves the greater function, promoting your healing. And the second option is to leave the splinter there and protect it, knowing that every time something or someone bumps into it, we will be reminded of the pain. And unfortunately, most of us will choose the second option. And this often means that we start to organize our behaviors around protecting the splinter, protecting the wound, the trigger. Sometimes it's there for so long we don't even know it's there. We just have these defensive behaviors in place. And we can become really angry and frustrated when people bump into our wound, even if by accident. Even if they meant no malice, they bump into our splinter and we think that person's a total jerk. One more breath in and out. This is super important how we exit the pose. So use your right palm to press your head passively back up to center. Then you can relax the left arm. Before you do any movement, just take a full breath in and out. Then maybe you shrug the shoulders. Maybe you look side to side or do some neck rolls, just whatever feels right for your body. And we'll briefly just sit up tall one more time. Or for those of you who want to fold, we've got 3 breaths. Last breath. And walk your hands in, take your hands behind you, give your legs a good shake. Then the other side. So this time the left shin is in front or the left knee is in top. Okay. And then take your right hand out to the right. Spine is long, hand hovers, and extend through the elbow, extend through the fingertips. Relax the shoulders and slowly lower left ear to left shoulder. And we breathe. Remember those four anatomical considerations. We're breathing. Spine is long. Reaching through the arm and keeping the shoulders soft. There's a story in which Buddha is being stalked by his demon Mara. Buddha's giving a sermon and Mara's creeping around, kind of spying on him. And Buddha's attendant, Ananda, says, Buddha, what do we do? Mara's, hanging out in the bushes. And Buddha tells Ananda, go set a table for tea for two. And Buddha looks at Mara and says, I see you, Mara. Please come have tea with me. And this isn't a story about trying to re-traumatize ourselves. We should only ever do things that reasonably feel safe. But our feelings are often like demons in that they need to be exercised. They can get stuck in our body like splinters unless we really give them the space and attention they need so they can be alchemized from a memory into wisdom. You can take one more big breath in and out. And use your left hand to passively press your skull right back up to center. Before you move at all, just take a breath in. Now, and any little movements that feel good in the upper back. And then we'll briefly fold or just stay upright, 3 breaths. And then slowly lift and shake out your legs. Hey, yogis, from here, lie all the way down onto your back. We've got a gentle twist, so step the feet in, move your hips a smidge to the left, and then lower your knees to the right. Arms can be in a T or in cactus. And one of the reasons I come back to the story again and again is there's this misconception that because yogis prioritize compassion, that we're pushovers. Right? Definitely not true. Or that maybe we're fierce, but we use compassion as an antidote to anger, as if anger is an inappropriate or unacceptable or undesirable state of being. This couldn't be further from the truth. The compassion is giving space to whatever emotion we're feeling. And that can include anger, and that can include indignation. Inhale, come to center, and move your hips to the right, and lower your knees to the left. We don't give appropriate space to what we're feeling, we can go into aversion. We can shut down. We can soothe ourselves in unhealthy ways. We can go into shame. We can go into judgment. What if we can appropriately give ourselves space for our emotions in the same way that the sky gives space for all the weather? We won't be so overwhelmed. And we can act with more wisdom in the present moment, and we can offer more compassion to others. We can do something about the suffering we're experiencing, about the suffering in our lives and the lives of those around us. Passion is our best hope for authentic empowerment. And it all begins with compassion for ourselves. When that blooms, we have the capacity to offer it and extend it in widening circles of compassion. Back to center. Hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a good squeeze. And then lie on your back. Your heel bones be heavy. Relax your shoulder blades. Soften your belly and your hands. And give yourself some time to rest. Stop the recording now, but thank you so much for hopping on, and I wish you a beautiful day or night.